position?
I am Albert J. DeRenzo, Acting Director of Public Works for the City of Elmira.
Was there a definite flood plan followed during the flood?
Yes, there was. There was a plan that was established within 1 month prior to the flood hitting us, May the 7th to be exact. Many people were advised of this plan, and industry, Public Works, that's including the water board, and all the utilities. They were all involved in this. We had 2 meetings prior to the flood, just in the month of April. And from those meetings, what we come up to establish a revised plan, an up-to-date plan. And the time the flood hit us, we called it the emergency, and every group had a certain function to do according to the plan. And it was followed up, I'd say 98%.
What prompted the formulation of the flood plan?
The reason we prompted up the formulation of the flood plan, during the month of March, we had our spring runoffs, and our creeks were coming close to going over the banks. And at that time, in my investigation of the several creeks that comes through the city of Elmira, brought to my attention what in God would happen if we should happen to get a storm that would last 2 or 3 days, or maybe 4 or 5 inches of rain, a flash flood. We'd be hurting here, and hurt hard. From that point on is when I gave me the idea that we should bring that flood plan up to date. And it was very good that we did it. If we didn't do this, I don't know. We didn't lose any lives in the city of Elmira. And in the city of Corning, there was a lot of lives lost. I can't say that they didn't have a plan. Don't get me wrong on that. I'm not sure whether they did or not. But this is what prompted me, is during those spring runoffs.
Was there a older plan that you revised? Or?
There was an older plan, 64 to 68, something like that nature. By the way, that was during the time that Chief Woodford, he became chief. He was a captain in the city of Elmira, and this was in 68 when we worked together on this plan. So actually it was Captain Woodford, former police chief, that worked on it in 68. They'd done some revision in 1970, 71, but not to the extent of going through the entire plan, item for item, group for group, which meant that we had to put in and replace all of the equipment that we had purchased since 1968, all the manpower that we lost, to be sure we got the manpower back in for their specific functioning. And this is most important, that we know how much equipment we got, how many people are working for us, and their functions.
What were the major aspects of the flood plan?
In my opinion, the major aspects of the flood plan, I'd say one is to determine the crest of our river, to be sure that is checked out carefully, which it was. That was a major aspect. Our flood walls to be checked out constantly, and naturally checking in and evacuating people was a major aspect of it. This worked out very nicely. We once we decided on an emergency, we picked up the sections we thought would be inundated. I've been through the 1946 flood plan, and therefore the city manager, who was virtually new on a job, he was only here less than 30 days, assigned me as the coordinator and asked me what would be the places to start evacuating. So we got them in categories according to where they would most likely to flood. And there was 3. One would be over the south side east, south side west from the Main Street Bridge to, I predicted Partridge Street, but it went over to South Avenue. And then on the north side, we decided that it would probably go to 3rd Street, and I was a block out of the way there, and it reached Clinton Street. But those are the major, plus the fact that getting the people out of their homes and be sure that they were well taken care of. And we had places and locations set up in our plan where these people were to be moved to. And of course, the Red Cross comes right in the following day for medication and what have you. But those are the three major things. Be sure that we got all people out of their homes once they were notified. And this was done by the police department. They had their horns on their vehicle, going street to street in the places we thought that they should be out. There were sufficient time. We had a few people who kind of ignored this, and we kept watch of that, because later on we had to take them out and take them out by boat, and some by helicopter. But the majority of them come out once they were notified.
Who made the decision for the National Guard to come into the city?
Well, initially it was a city manager who had talked about this. Now, the command post is commanded by the city manager, the director of public works or coordinator, the chief of police, and fire chief. The chief of police made the final decision in getting the National Guard because of the fact that we were concerned about it. When we lost the power, we were concerned about looting, so forth, and we didn't have the manpower. So he actually made the decision about getting the National Guard out.
Has the city taken any new precautions in the event of another flood?
Yes, they have. They've got in touch with the Corps of Engineers, requesting that they come down and check over our river islands to find out whether or not it would be necessary to do some dredging. In our opinion, we think it does. But we found out through their reports that the hydraulic measurements taken from the Corps of Engineers felt that there's only two locations really that need dredging, and this they are doing as of today, and that would be west of Huffman Street. And we have a couple islands here just east of Madison Avenue Bridge that we thought should be dredged, but they felt not.
Are there any other comments you'd like to make?
Yes, I would like to make a few observations and comments in regards to our city streets. We have 125 miles of streets. We have 10 miles of alleyways. There's quite a few of these streets has been damaged severely from the Agnes flood, and the alleyways in particular, because alleyways are not paved. They are stone and oil base. I've asked the city council if they wouldn't give me enough money to start paving some of these alleyways. At any time that it rains, the alleyways, being that it's only a stone and oil base, we have these potholes. As far as the streets itself, if we have a pothole in any given area and water gets underneath it, that merely picks the pavement up and breaks the bond from the concrete base to the pavement itself. These are the jobs that we're after today, and hopefully try to get them all taken care of before winter and snowfall this coming fall or winter. We are attempting to take care of approximately, well, I'd say at least 10 alleyways this year. Plus that, we have some streets that are not too bad condition where we're going to use a slurry seal to protect them. And we have money, we have funds for this operation. By the way, slurry seal is a good thing, regardless of whether you see a street that is alligated with wide gaps in it. A lot of the people, the majority of the people feel the street is in bad shape. This does not hold true because the sealer itself keeps the water from penetrating through the pavement. And that's the reason why the seal itself is very important, and we hope to do this on a yearly basis for the next 5 or 10 years. We're trying to improve most of our streets. The next 2 or 3 years, I think we'll be in real good shape.
Are the dikes being built up?
Dikes have all been taken care of. They have been passed and inspected by the Corps of Engineers and also by the State Conservation Department, who are responsible for the dikes and levees. The contractor who had done this job immediately called for the inspectors. In every case, the inspectors okayed these particular locations that we had the breaks. Of course, I will always be concerned about these particular breaks because, in my opinion, 1 year stabilization doesn't mean too much to me It seems like it would take years to stabilize an earth levee. So up to that point, I don't know what else I can tell you.
Could you state where the breaks were located?
Well, I don't have anything in front of me, but I think I can recollect that we had a break just east of Mercury or Lyman Gridley's on East Water Street. We had a break on George Street, which would be south of Lake Street Bridge and west of Lake Street. We had a break at College Avenue, a dead-end street into water, next to, if you don't mind me mentioning, the establishment right next to Lago Negros. We had a break at Hudson Street, south of the river. These are the primary breaks, the ones that give us trouble. We had a problem at Robinson Street with a break of the levee itself, and we used thousands of sandbags to protect this, but then we had to finally give up because we knew then that the water was going to come over the levees and over the dike, and that work would all have been in vain, and we had men working like mad to protect it. But it came to the point where we knew we were licked because we had our word that the water was going to come over the dike.
What type of damage was done to the bridges?
There was severe damage done. Of course, you know we lost Walnut Street Bridge completely, and there was severe damage done to the Madison Avenue Bridge. Madison Avenue Bridge has been contracted out from the Corps Engineers to a concern in Elmira, who has been working on it within 2 weeks or 3 weeks after the storm. They got the contract, and they've been working on it ever since. Of course, they've had real hard luck. Each time they have these causeways or roads built to work under these piers, water would come up and it would delay the work. What actually happened, underwashing and undermining the piers itself. So this is what's going on even today. And I understand as it is now, it'll be possibly 2 weeks and they'll have this job completed. There was one pier number one pier on the north end of the bridge where the steel girder itself was shifted approximately 9 inches. And this is going to be jacked up this week. They're jacking it up and replacing this girder. We'd have to keep the weight off of it for a while. Normal traffic, fine. But maybe after 3 or 4 weeks that this is settled down, in the proper position, then we'll have a capacity to carry 20-ton trucks. And it's limited to 5 ton today. All of our traffic was concentrated on Lake Street Bridge during this whole period. I don't know what we would have done without Lake Street Bridge, and it's about 10 years old. So 2-lane traffic, as you know, but the one-way pattern worked for a long time. We had to do this to get the traffic moving, and that's worked out very, very nice in my opinion.
Are there plans of putting another bridge in at the site of the old Walnut Street Bridge?
Yes, there is plans to replace the 2-lane steel bridge. As far as the government's concerned, they told us that we can have enough monies to replace the bridge as it was, a 2-lane. But we got to other agencies where we decided we wanted a 4-lane bridge. The specs has been put out, and the bids has been put out. No, the specs has been put out. We expect those bids to come in here on April 9th to open up bids. The successful bidder will then start immediately on a new bridge.
Could you relay any experiences you had during the flood?
Yes, I think I could elaborate on that a little bit. One of the big things that I think that was a hardship for many people in the city of Elmira was the fact that there was no real cause for, at the time of the curfew, and getting some of the people who wanted to do some work or help in evacuating people or taking care of them in some manner. We've had nurses and doctors that had problems getting across because their ID cards wasn't available. Were refused in some cases. A city manager himself was stopped by a guard at Henry and Main Street because he didn't have the proper identification. And when the city manager says, I'm the city manager of City of Elmira, the gentleman said, I don't care if you're the governor, you show me an ID card. So this is quite important that they have ID cards. And it's quite important that we have all these people, professional people, available so they can get through either side of the bridges, on either side of the bridge, and have these ID cards issued to them.
Do you think that there's a need for a medical center on the south side of the river?
I most certainly do think there's a need for a medical center on the south side of the river. As I understand it, the last couple of weeks I've understood that there was only one MD in the south side of the river and 230 some odd on the north side of the river. I'm sure that we should have at least 5 or 6 doctors on the other side, south side of the river, plus a good location, high and dry, for a medical center. I would suggest that that would be established at the Broadway School. People from Pine City could come across there. If we have a bridge locked up where we can't get through, at least we know that the people who have been caught in this flood on the south side of the river have a place to go to have medical attention or whatever is necessary for them for any medical reason, which we didn't have in this last flood, Agnes flood in June. Some people were taken care of through a few nurses and doctors, but we had a hard time getting them across. And we want to be sure that this does not happen again in the event we have another condition where the bridges are closed.
Is there a definite possibility that a medical center would be opened?
There is quite a study on right now to evaluate a location in the south side. I think there's a committee going to be formed, or is being formed now, to come up with an idea in regard to a medical center in the south side of the river. There's a lot of people interested in this, and I think that there'll be a petition brought forth which will almost require and mandate that we have a medical center at the south side.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, I'm sure.